Watch this video and then we'll come back and talk about it.
You excited at least to go to the pumpkin patch?
Am I excited to go to the pumpkin patch? Oh, Jane, I'm so excited to go to the pumpkin patch. To spend 700% for a fucking pumpkin that I could buy at the grocery store for $6. I'm gonna spend $45, then listen to the kids bitch and moan for 2 hours while we walk around. And then, the only thing that I get enjoyment of is the fucking cider donuts. But half the time, they're ice cold. So yeah, I'm so excited for the pumpkin patch.
This video is not going to be dressing her because, as to be expected, we know the script. You make a video showing your husband or your boyfriend doing the worst, most disrespectful stuff. And then a couple videos later or the next day, you tell everybody, everything's fine. He's actually great. Everything's fine. So, this is a canon event. We cannot interfere. But for those of you who want to learn, or maybe you're in this situation and you want to change things, it's really unfortunate to be a woman sometimes because it can be so dangerous. Not only is it dangerous to have children, especially if you are a Black woman, but it is dangerously, statistically, to be in a relationship with a man. You can play dumb if you want to, but just look at the news. All these stories of men slowly drugging their wives over time to try to get rid of them permanently, or the guy who drugged his wife to have men come in and pay him so that they can assault her. We got to make sure we brace ourselves when we leave the house and have the pepper sprays and the this and the that, and text people phone license plates if we go on dates, and addresses and locations. And if we're not living in that extreme constantly, it's when we finally do get into a relationship, very rarely do we get into a relationship with someone who actually is happy to be there. That's the exception to the rule. But most times women have to choose between one of two options. The guy who makes it blatantly obvious that he literally cannot stand being around his kids. He cannot stand being around you. He doesn't like spending money to spend time with you guys. It's irritating when you take family photos. He bitches and complains the whole time. When you do a family excursion, he bitches and complains the whole time and is constantly having to sit down and disappearing, and you got to look where he's at, and he's fussing and complaining, and you got the kids hanging off of you. You're the one who woke up to get everybody ready and you made the itinerary, and he just ruins it. Then there's the middle extreme that I forgot to mention, the dad that literally didn't do anything either, but he's just there. And you're directing, take a picture with the kids, stand over here, babe, go over there. And he's just there. He is just literally there. You could have bought a mannequin along with you for the level of participation of this man. Now, the other extreme is the guy that just doesn't show up at all. I mean, don't get me wrong, he comes home to the same house. However, he spends hours and hours and hours on end in his office. He comes home grumpy and standoffish. And you keep the kids away. Let's leave daddy alone. He's had a rough day. And you never get to have a rough day, but that's a whole nother video. But he spends hours on end in his office, man cave, strumming his guitar, pretending like he's Ed Sheeran until the wee hours of the night. He buries himself in his work. He spends half a day at the golf course or on the basketball court, or he's adopted some extreme sport that causes him to be away from the house for hours and hours on end. And he does everything and is devoted to everything except for you and your children, and you find yourself begging for him to spend time with you guys. So unless you're one of the lucky few women who gets that amazing man who is loving and caring and just is happy to be there in any way possible, you have the option of choosing the guy who makes it clear he hates being there, the guy who's there but may as well not be, or the guy who's there but gone all the time. And I'm sure I've already gotten the comments by now from the women who are like, this is why I've just learned to do things by myself. And that's just another way of saying, you know what, I've learned to get used to it and I've decided to settle and accept it. Here's the truth. There's no way that we should be in relationships with men who don't want to be in relationships with us. And there's no reason why we should be accommodating for them to continue on in that behavior. Now, I can understand if you have learned to do things by yourself, and as you're doing those things by yourself, you are planning your exit. I understand that, but there are several women who this is their entire life. I have a family member now, was married for 50 years, and for 50 years she did things without her husband. And it was so sad. And she used to brag about it. And the only thing I could think of was, wow, you sleep next to this person, y'all share a house together and kids together, and he never wants to spend time with you. I did not envy her, but this is the brainwashing that so many women have succumbed to, unfortunately, due to patriarchy. If we're not begging them to be around us, we're forcing ourselves to live as if they don't exist, but still giving them the privilege of being our boyfriends and husbands and cooking for them and cleaning for them and being intimate with them and having kids with them. Now, as I stated at the beginning of the video, for a lot of women, it's a canon event. They have to learn. One day, maybe, they might wake up, and some might end up like my relative who stayed with her man until he passed away. And she accommodated for his BS. And that's unfortunate. 50 years of her life that she will never get back. But I do think it's unfortunate that we've been in a situation to where, at least if we are married or in a relationship, that's better than nothing. And a lot of us are getting nothing. I think it's my age and what I've been through, but wise people don't have to go through what I've gone through to learn. So do with that what you will. But everybody's going to have a bad day every now and then, where you might get short with someone, you come back and apologize, and you change the behavior. That is not your consistent way of being, okay? But if you got one time to show me you don't enjoy being around me, and you don't have to worry about me anymore. And this is why it hurts my heart to see so many women rushing to move in with these men and rushing to marry them. Because what you guys don't seem to understand is that once you do that, it's so much harder for you to end those relationships because of all you've invested into them, and you don't want people to judge you and all that stuff, and you don't want to live on your own because maybe you can't afford to now because you're used to having his little 2 cents coming in every month, or maybe you don't have any money because you've been financially dependent on them. When women tell me that they're happily married, I always imagine an asterisk by that word happy, because of what a lot of women are defining as happy is simply the fact that they are married. Because once you get to know them and you hear the stories of the things that they're going through, when you look beyond the happy pictures that they're posting, you begin to realize they're not happy. They just settled. They just compromised who they are and what they want. And that happiness simply means married. By any means necessary. At least I am married. So I always take it with a grain of salt. I really hope that they are happy, but statistically I know that that's probably not actually true. Are you really happily married, or are you simply married? Like most women are, unfortunately. Are you really happily in a relationship, or is it the fact that you're just in one?